A dress hanging in a photo studio somewhere in Oregon, and it costs $140. It is not particularly heavy. It has mesh side panels the size of playing cards, a racer back cut, striped tape running along the trim, and a shade of blue that Nike, in its own product catalog, calls Old Royal. It is the dress Alex Eala will walk onto the courts of Flushing Meadows wearing later this month. Right now, in the second week of August, that dress is doing something strange. It is being studied, photographed, reposted, screenshot and sent between group chats in Manila and Quezon City and Cebu and Toronto and Los Angeles and Dubai. A piece of polyester and elastane has become, for about 120 million people counting the diaspora, a small national event. And the reason it has become that is not entirely, or even mostly, about tennis. It is about what a country does when one of its own is finally handed something that looks like a flag, even if the company that made it never used that word. To understand why this dress matters, you need two facts from the past 10 days. First, on August 3rd, the WTA released its updated rankings and Alex Eala entered the top 20 for the first time in her career at world number 20. She is the first Filipina in history to sit in that room. Second, she got there because 6 days earlier, in Washington, D.C., she won her first WTA singles title without any margin of comfort. She beat Zhang Qinwen, Leylah Fernandez, Alina Svitolina, Naomi Osaka, and Jessica Pegula in succession. Every one of them a Grand Slam finalist or a current top 10 player. The last woman to defeat the top 3 seeds on the way to a title was Barbara Krejcikova at Dubai in 2023. That is the tennis behind the dress, now the dress itself. Here is the thing the title of this video says, and here is the thing the title does not say. The word being circulated online is custom, custom kit, custom drop, custom Nike design for Alex Eala's US Open debut in her new ranking bracket. And Nike has, in fact, unveiled the exact garment she will wear in a colorway that fans are treating as unmistakably Filipino. But if you read carefully, and this is where honesty starts to matter more than momentum, the Nike Court Slam women's tennis dress in Old Royal is not, strictly speaking, custom designed for her alone. According to Sports Illustrated's tennis desk, the same silhouette will appear on other Nike athletes at the same tournament. Aryna Sabalenka is wearing a companion piece from the same basketball-inspired collection, the one with the netting-style mesh that drew a mixed reaction online last week. Eala is being used, in the most literal marketing sense of the phrase, as the face of a design that other players will also wear. She is a Nike athlete. She is not yet a Nike signature athlete. There is a difference, and the difference is the entire story. Because what Nike has done here, whether the company would phrase it this way or not, is release a garment through the person most likely to make it mean something. That is not a scandal. That is not exploitation. That is corporate marketing behaving exactly as corporate marketing behaves. What is interesting, what is worth 17 minutes of your evening is what happens next. Because a country has looked at a generic dress in Old Royal blue and started filling in the meaning the company did not print on the tag. And that, in the history of every athlete who ever became bigger than their contract, is usually how it begins. Let's take this piece by piece, because the details are where the actual story lives. The dress, Nike Court, Slam Women's Tennis Dress, product code IM 9420-417, retailing at $140 on Nike's own website. Deep royal blue body, black and white outlines, mesh panels running along the sides and back for ventilation, cut in what Nike describes as basketball-inspired large-hole netting. Racerback silhouette designed to sit clean under the swoosh medium support bra, striped tape at the trim. Nike's marketing copy for the dress uses the phrase "strike first." That is the object. That is what she will wear on television, in front of some of the largest audiences of her life from August 24th through however far she goes. The timing. This kit reveal did not arrive at a random moment on the calendar. It arrived the same week she debuted in the WTA Top 20. It arrived 6 days after she lifted her first tour trophy. It arrived 2 weeks before her second ever main draw appearance at the US Open. Nike did not stumble into this window. Companies do not stumble into windows. Nike's actual position in tennis right now. This is the piece most viewers don't know, and it changes how you read the dress. According to Sports Illustrated's analysis published this month, Nike currently has exactly one female tennis signature athlete on its global roster, Naomi Osaka. That's it. Qinwen Zhang has a collection, but it's only available in Asian markets. On the men's side, Jannik Sinner had his Fox logo teased almost 2 years ago at the ATP Finals in Turin, and it still hasn't produced a full signature line. Carlos Alcaraz's signature logo has been trademarked but never publicly launched. Nike, the same company that once dressed Nadal and Serena, watching Adidas eat into a market it used to own. The US Open, in Nike's internal language, is a home game. And they are being outplayed. That is the commercial vacuum into which Alex Eala just walked. A 21-year-old Filipino with 7 top 10 wins this season, a career-high ranking, and the kind of story that markets itself in 17 languages at once. If you were sitting in a conference room in Beaverton, Oregon, staring at a projection screen, you would do exactly what Nike just did. You would put a dress on her and see what the market says back. Now, and this is important, Nike has already done the actual custom work for Alex Eala, quietly, before now. Last year, tied to her Vogue Philippines cover, Nike released a small limited edition capsule, called In Full Bloom. It featured the sampaguita, the national flower of the Philippines, designed by a Manila-based artist named Georgina Camus, rendered against a stylized tennis court background. There was a shirt, there were accessories, there was most tellingly a hair tie with a sampaguita motif, and Nike confirmed publicly that particular piece was made exclusively for Eala's own use and would not be sold commercially. That is what genuinely custom looks like. That is the real precedent. The old royal dress is louder. It reaches more people. It sits inside a Grand Slam broadcast rather than magazine cover shoot. But the intimate work, the flower, the hair tie, the country's fingerprint on the garment, Nike has already done that. So when Filipino fans look at the new dress and ask, is this ours in the way the sampaguita was ours, they are not asking a naive question. They are asking whether the appetizer is going to become the tasting menu. Now step back for a moment. Because tennis is being made to carry a lot in this story, and it is worth remembering that Eala has actually earned every Gram 5 matches at the DC Open, Jung 466-4, 6-1, coming back from a set and a breakdown. Fernandez, tour-tested and dangerous on hard courts. Svitolina, the 3rd seed, an Olympic bronze medalist. Osaka, 4-time Grand Slam champion playing her way back to relevance. Pegula, the top seed, in the final. Nobody breezed through, every match was contested. 2 of those wins pushed her season total of top 10 victories to 7, tied for the most. On tour with Svitolina and Elena she is not being marketed. She is being reported. There is a difference, and it matters. When Nike hangs a dress on a hanger in a photo studio, it can invent a story. When Alex Eala walks off court 6 days in a row against that particular gauntlet of opponents, the story invents itself. And now the piece the country cannot stop talking about. The color. Nike calls it Old Royal. The Philippine flag, since the 1998 amendment to the Flag and Heraldic Code, uses royal blue as its official upper band. Nike has not said, publicly or privately, that the shade was chosen with the Philippines in mind. It is a colorway from a broader collection. Other Nike athletes will wear pieces from the same palette, but an entire country is looking at that shade of blue on this specific player at this specific tournament and doing the arithmetic anyway. Sometimes the meaning a country supplies is louder than the meaning a company printed. Nike did not have to make the dress Filipino. Filipino viewers made it Filipino the moment they saw it. That is not a manufactured emotion. That is what happens when a person and a color meet at the right moment in front of the right audience. Whether Nike planned it or not is, at this point, almost beside the point. The audience has already decided. The people covering this story have not been shy about the scale of it. The Guardian, in its coverage of the DC Open final on August 3rd, described Eala as a breakout star whose title win would propel her to a career-high number 20 in the world. The WTA's own official recap, published the same day, called her, in plain, unadorned language, the first Filipina to reach the top 20 and singled out the difficulty of her draw, the Krejcikova Dubai 2023 comparable is not a phrase the WTA hands out lightly on the commercial side. Sports Illustrated's tennis desk in the same article that first published the old royal dress renders laid out the Nike situation with unusual bluntness. Post Nadal post Serena, the American brand has fallen behind in tennis, and if anything can jolt Nike back to life it is, in their words, the rapid rise of Eala that is not a Filipino publication being patriotic. That is an American commercial sports outlet looking at a corporate balance sheet telling its readers that a 21-year-old from Quezon City, maybe the most valuable marketing asset women's tennis has produced this year outside of the very top of the rankings. Read that sentence twice. It is doing more work than it looks like it is doing. The stakes here are bigger than one dress or one tournament. The Philippines is a country of roughly 114 million people. Diaspora of another 10 million spread across the world, and until very recently it had no meaningful modern presence in professional tennis. The Filipino record at a Grand Slam is still, believe it or not, held by Felicissimo Ampon, the quarterfinals of the French Championships in 1952 and 1953, more than 70 years ago. Nobody has come closer since. Not a semi, not another quarter until Ella reached the fourth round of Wimbledon this summer and quietly made herself the closest active Filipino to that 70-year-old ceiling. That is the historical scale a single dress is being asked to carry, which is why the fan reaction has been what it has been. On Reddit's tennis forum, the response was split, some celebrating the visibility, others pointing out correctly that the dress is generic and Nike is using Eala to market it. Both readings are true at the same time. Filipino Instagram and Facebook have leaned harder into the flag color reading. Neither camp is wrong. What they are doing collectively is the exact process by which an athlete stops being marketed and starts being adopted. Osaka went through this. Serena went through this. The company sells you the product. The audience decides whether the product is you. In Ayala's case, that decision seems to already be made, and the dress hasn't even hit a match court yet. None of this, though, erases what happened yesterday. Because yesterday, on the 9th of August, in the round of 16 at the Canadian Open in Toronto, Alex Eala lost 4-6 love 6 to Belinda Bencic. She won 4 games. The second set was a bagel, 6 days after the biggest win of her professional life, playing her 5th match in 7 days against a former Olympic gold medalist. The body did what tired bodies do. This is the part of the story that gets left out of dress announcements. She is 21 years old. She almost continuously threw the North American swing, and she got beaten cleanly by an experienced opponent playing sharp tennis. It happens, it will happen again. What matters is that she plays Cincinnati starting tomorrow, and then 15 days from now, she walks into Arthur Ashe Stadium in that royal blue dress with the entire weight of a country's projection stitched into the mesh. Fatigue is real, so is the calendar. Both are true. So here is where we land. The word on the video title is custom, and the honest correction is that the dress, in the strict technical sense, is not custom. Other Nike players will wear the same design. There is no Alex Eala logo stitched into the collar the way Osaka has her line and Sinner has his fox. That, as of tonight, is the factual position. But what a dress means has never been decided by a product tag. It is decided by who is wearing it, at what moment in their career, which audience carrying whose hopes. And what Alex Eala represents walking onto a hard court in New York later this month in Nike's old royal blue is not a signature line. It is something older and more useful than a signature line. She represents a proof of concept for a country that had never, until now, been given evidence that it belonged in this particular room. The Sampaguita hair tie was the private version of that promise. The Deke Trophy was the public version. The old royal dress is the televised version. If you have followed her from the Junior U.S. Open crown in 2022, through the ranking climb, through the Miami quarterfinal, through the Birmingham grass title this summer, through last week in Washington, you already know how this chapter is going to be judged, not by whether the dress sells out on Nike.com, but by what she does in it. Cincinnati begins tomorrow. The begins on the 24th. Ampon's 73-year-old benchmark is still standing. If you want to watch what happens when a country, a company, and a player all decide at the same time that one of them is ready to be more than a face on a marketing render, subscribe and stay with us through the next 4 weeks. Because whatever the tag says, the dress is not the story. She is.